Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we're back to talk about Season 4, Episode 12 of Fox's retelling of the Dark Knight mythology, entitled Pieces of a Broken Mirror. So join us as we venture into Batman's birthplace.
And explore Gotham.
You don't sound very enthused, Dragon.
Nope.
Okay, folks. Well, Dragon warned me about this episode. He was like, now, Tiki, you're going to really like episode 13. Like, episode 13 is going to be everything you hoped it would be. But episode 12 is going to be like, all right, you have to, you know the analogy, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, Dragon?
Yep.
Well, it's like a spoonful of medicine hurts the sugar going down. It's like the sugar of episode 13 is just like, you're trying to get to the sugar, but there's all this medicine that you have to go through first.
Yep.
I don't know. That was not as good of an analogy as I was wanting it to be, but I digress. This is
it's basically what if you had Lucky Charms, but you have to eat through like 2 layers of brand.
God. That's a way better analogy, Dragon.
That's kind of what it is. Like, you want to get to the marshmallows. That is the next episode.
By the time you get to the Lucky Charms, it's all soggy, and the marshmallows are pretty much melted into the into the milk.
And just to make it more accurate, like the promos for this cereal, for this delightful breakfast, was that, hey, Lucky Charms, Lucky Charms, Lucky Charms, and you reveal brand with Lucky Charms.
Let's talk about that, Dragon. Let's talk about that before we dive into the recap. This is a huge bait and switch. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily hate this episode, but honestly, I want to say of all time, to be honest, I got to think back here, but I mean, this is the most disappointed I've ever been with a Gotham episode. It's the most disappointed I've been, and look, I want to make it clear. I'm not saying that because the promo misled us. I'm going to blame that on marketing. But here's the thing. Regardless, it's the same issue, but I'm just saying it's not because of the promo. See, the promo advertised we're going to pick up on the great place that we left off in the mid-season finale. Okay, Jerome and Penguin are in Arkham together, right? We got all these other spinning plates, and that was kind of our biggie. We're going out on the whole Sophia Jim Gordon thing, and here's the thing: in plotting like story-wise, in plotting this season, they had to know, again, especially going into like your 4th season on this turnaround, they got to know where they're going to break for the season and where they're going to come back. It's not like a whole thing of like, where we had like the Jerome arc, which was also like a better kind of mid-season finale last year. It's not that sort of thing. In this case, it's like the first initial is the one they know they're going to have, and they ended on a place, okay, it's a good mid-season break. And in plotting the story, they know where they're going to come back, and they knew they weren't going to pick up with that Jerome story, and the advertising kind of followed suit on that, and it just it compounds on it, and makes it worse, in that knowingly they weren't going to, they were going to leave us hanging and basically give us an episode full of filler.
And Dragon, I don't think this is the worst filler in the world. And to be fair, I think bad Gotham is fun Gotham. But
that's the thing though. It's not really it's not bad. It's just bland. It's the most brand episode of Gotham ever that we needed to get to the next one in places. I get that, but I mean, honestly, a lot of this you could have just really abridged and put in the next one.
I mean, really, it's mostly just the Bullock stuff that you need.
Yeah. That's a lucky charm. That's what I'm saying. You get the Bullock stuff and a few bits of the Alfred in this episode. There's some lucky charms in there. The rest of it's, come on, brand.
All right, Dragon. Should we dive right into the recap then?
Just dive right into it.
All right, just dive in.
Okay, let's see. So Jim's checking out some brothels in the Narrows. He's looking for Bullock. Let's see. We have a nice opening tracking shot on the streets of Gotham. I like how we kind of transition from our scenes here. Basically, we get to a point where everything's kind of happening simultaneously. So that's nice.
that is one good thing about the episode, Dragon, is the episode does feel very self-contained, and I feel like it was more ambitious in the writers' heads than it actually turned out to be on the screen. You know what I mean? I feel like the writers are like, all right, let's get like a scenario where everyone's kind of in the same place at the same time. So it works out pretty well. I feel like maybe if the whole episode were framed around it, it would have made it a little better.
Right. I got you there. I can see I think the intent can be seen. It's just the execution was really off. And well, again, not even just again, it's the plotting. I guess it's like coming out at the worst time. Like again, we're kind of waiting on other things here. We're kind of building in the wrong places here.
Yeah, I mean, we get like I know this kind of feels like the Attack of the Clones of Gotham in a way.
All right, so let's see. So we have
And I only say that because of the weird assassination attempt at the start of the episode.
I'm just sorry. Now you just said this is occurring to me. Oh my god, that is a brilliant comparison. Yes, this is very much Attack of the Clones. It's not famously bad like Phantom Menace, but it is like the actual one that makes you like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Where Attack of the Clones is definitely the most boring out of the Star
Wars.
Wars.
I will argue that Phantom Menace is a better Star Wars movie than Attack of the Clones any day of the week.
Sure, and I will say I think you have a genuine shot at that. But I will say this: out of all the Star Wars films, the Attack of the Clones is the quote Red Letter Media is the most boring. It's the most
boringest.
It is seriously though. It's the most boring out of all the Star Wars movies. In this episode, again, it just feels very very much okay. We got to get from point A. We got Anakin has to lose some limbs. Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's see. So has to lose a limb, so we can have symbolism. Middle one, guy loses arm. He's his father. Okay. So back.
Ultron did that better.
Well, of course it did. Did it better in spades. It made Andy Serkis's career. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa! Hold on there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm kidding. It didn't make his career. Okay, so we have some junkies. They're checking the Chinese herbalist place where we left off with Ivy last season.
Oh God.
Well, sorry, last half, not season.
Oh, we'll get into Ivy, Dragon. We'll get into Ivy.
So they're going to the herbalist place, just to get a fix, and they find we have Ivy's emergence here. So here's why they did this, to my knowledge. So they recast Ivy. So Ivy previously was played by Maggie Gaya, I think it's how you say her name, and now we've recast her with an actress from Flash, Peyton List, who played Golden Glider, played Captain Cold's sister in Flash.
Was she in season 1?
Oh yeah, she was in season 1, and she came back a couple times. She wasn't brought back a lot. I'm just saying she was the one who could turn things into gold.
It's been about a year and a half since I've watched season 1, so excuse me if she's not like an instantly recognizable face.
But they kind of blackmailed Cisco into making her the gun that turns things into gold. That was kind of her, and she liked Cisco. Okay. That was kind of
yeah.
Anyway. So, she had an important role in regards to Captain Cold. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. So, the point is, we're going to, Ivy's going to emerge. A little bit more on Ivy momentarily. Anyway, so Alfred is living. So this is interesting. It's interesting where we start the Alfred stuff and where we kind of. I like where we start Alfred here. Alfred is living in the Narrows.
Are we skipping in Gordon looking for Bullock?
No, we opened with that. That was the first thing. Jim's checking out the brothels in the Narrows, looking for Bullock, and that's why we're in the Narrows in this opening.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. We just kind of went through it really fast. Okay, cool. Anyways,
so Alfred is living in there. So again, it's very narrow centric, this opening, and that's the Alfred. I love this idea of Alfred kind of mulling over life. At a diner in the Narrows. That's a good place to start him off at. And we've kind of seen that before. There famously in the comics, Alfred rarely is fired, but when he is fired, it's always kind of like Alfred's kind of waiting in the wings for his master to kind of get some sense. But if you take Batman out of the equation,
part of the contingency plan.
Yes, many times. Yes. Oh, God bless Cape Crusaders. But I'm thinking in the comics that I think the most famous example of Alfred ever getting fired was in the Batman Venom story, the one that kind of established Venom before Bane came around. The whole Batman hopped up on drugs, he kind of fired Alfred for a spell, I think. And like Alfred left because he was, becoming addicted to drugs, and he refused to give it up. So Alfred kind of left him for his own good. I think that's how it went. It's been a while, folks, but the point is, so Alfred, like on his own, that's kind of a rare thing you do have with.
Now, Dragon, is Alfred living in the Narrows?
Yeah, he's got an apartment in the Narrows. That's what it suggests. I mean, I don't think he's homeless, but I mean, I assumed he had an apartment somewhere down there. I assume that, so we don't have that information.
Gotcha. So you get this really jerky guy, Dragon.
Yeah, the regulars of the Narrows. They're causing, they're making trouble for Alfred, despite,
look at that guy's shoes. He's worth more. The guy's shoes are worth more than my car. And he takes that up as a reason to just cause Alfred trouble. It's like, really, really, guy?
Yeah. We meet this really nice waitress named Tiffany. She's kind of taking a liking to Alfred. She's pleading with him, like, "Hey, don't make any trouble with him. I like this guy. Don't roughhouse with him."
Mm-hmm.
It feels very Superman too. Now that I think about it, it feels very much like, "Oh, come on, Rocky, your steak's on. Don't beat up the nice couple that walked in." I kid you not, folks. That guy's name was Rocky. They did name him after someone. But I'm sorry. Speaking of the shoe thing you're speaking about, I do like that we do see there is kind of a class. The class motivations in the Narrows. There's very much like an uptown, downtown.
Yeah, but it's hidden over your head so much, it's ridiculous. It's like the classism thing in Attack of the Clones. The whole like, oh, we can't be together, Anakin. I'm a senator. It's about as subtle as that, Dragon. I'm gonna keep comparing this episode to Attack of the Clones now.
It's not necessarily as clever as something like Point Man and Crime Alley, where we see kind of the difference in class, and it's not exactly as kind of layered as that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, as again, speaking of kind of like a class issue, we go to Lee at the Narrows. She's kind of the appointed kind of boss of the Narrows, and she's kind of taken over from Samson. So Lee, she gathers the folks of the Narrows. She's making a plea for them not to steal from each other, which again is a very logical plea, and of course. This is getting us into Leslie Tompkins, the community leader, the person who's kind of the guardian of the Narrows, and of the Narrows / Crime Alley. Let's say, you know what I mean, just kind of like the bad
Dragon
parts
again. Of we're just gonna commend. We feel so bad for Morena Baccarin for having to endure the back half of season 3.
Oh yeah, and she's definitely on the upswing this season.
Very much on the upswing. Lee is one of my favorite characters again. As wild as that is to say after season 3.
Oh yeah. So let's see. So again, it's interesting. I like that we're kind of pointing out, that she's pleading with them not to steal from each other. Because again, if you steal from each other, you're continuing this circle of kind of poverty and crime. You're stealing from the downtrodden, which is just going to go circle around, guys. And she's trying to lead the community like the classic Leslie Tompkins, or kind of the kind of like a Dark Knight Returns Jim Gordon. Remember, Gordon kind of getting Gotham together. Like, this is our neighborhood. We got to put these fires out. That sort of thing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Which is nice. Let's see. So, meanwhile, we meet while that meeting's going on. It's a very kind of public, kind of big town hall setting. Something sinister's coming that way. Meanwhile, again, I love that all this is happening kind of at the same time. It's kind of a confluence of events, concurrence.
Same time within like a couple city blocks of each other.
Yes. So again, I like the direction in this episode. I'll give it that. I really like the direction of like where we're going with that. I think again, speaking to the story before we're kind of getting it in the story. So at least it's kind of going there. So we meet Plant Lady Ivy. So it's very Batman and Robin-esque.
Ivy.
I'm sorry?
Oh, she's just like, my name was Ivy.
So she is. It's kind of interesting. I think the way that we have with Ivy here is it's sort of Batman and Robin-esque. At least in this episode, it's kind of Batman and Robin-esque with kind of Catwoman from Batman Returns. It's kind of like it's like she has the finesse of the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman from Returns. But she's emerging kind of
brilliant, over the top, and yeah, she's got the murderous streak of Uma Thurman.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like she emerges like Uma Thurman did, and it's kind of the similar origin. Okay, she's coming out from the lab accident, and she's targeting Wayne Enterprises essentially, as we'll find out.
I'm afraid you'll have to die. Ah!
So she poisons one of the one of the junkies that's kind of the fresh junkie, the junkie's kind of hitting on her, and she instantly kind of poisons and kills that guy.
Be honest, Dragon. Every time we see a homeless teenager in Gotham, it's an underdweller. I mean, come on, that's my headcanon.
Sure. All right, so while that's happening, and I think we get away from like this is honestly so far this is the most plant lady Ivy we've gotten so far, and I think as it goes on we kind of flip flop between again kind of the human weaponizing plants. I mean, I like how we're kind of still transitioning between what my favorite is kind of the human who uses the human plant enthusiast who eventually will become kind of like more plant than person. So we're kind of facilitating that transition in these episodes here. So
and I like how she's got a bigger presence now. Like you can tell, unlike Harvey Dent, they're kind of making up for lost time here.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Alfred. Oh yeah, we have the Lord Fauntleroy gag. Like the street toughs from the diner. The diner thugs. They're kind of hassling Alfred, and they're kind of like calling him something else. And Alfred corrects them. Hey, it's Lord. You're thinking of Lord Fauntleroy. For those who don't know, Lord Fauntleroy. It's the kid wearing the fancy duds, the fancy kind of Victorian poofy pants and stuff. That's what Lord Fauntleroy is.
So Alfred warns them that look, you're a big man, but you're out of shape. And he basically just takes them down immediatly.
Thankfully, before things escalate even further, he basically takes down the biggest one. Jim breaks up the fight, run away. Then Jim and Alfred have a little conversation, and Jim's asking what's up. Like, hey, what are you doing down here? Is Bruce down here? And Alfred saying, well, the long story before Alfred can really get into it is interrupted by the Narrows meeting getting bombed via toy plane.
Which is really kind of the thing that calls to mind Attack of the Clones, honestly.
True, but there's definitely a big Batman reference in this episode.
All right.
We'll get there. So this is cool. I always love this sort of thing. So Jim and Alfred, they rush to save people inside the meeting, inside the building. And this is one of the great. This is probably the best shot of the episode. Honestly, I like how we kind of see all of our stories kind of unfolding in the same area here. So as they go in there, the block is evacuating, and this is kind of like a thing I want to see more of in the show, where you see that Gotham is like an ecosystem that is very tied into other things. It's a show about the city before it's a show about how people impact the city and vice versa. Where they're rushing in there, they're saving people, and we see the blocks evacuating. So does everybody, and it's like an event story that shows the interconnectivity. And we see Ivy kind of leaving the building in the midst of everything. So everyone's kind of linking up there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So in the aftermath of that, Jim and Alfred, their chat is put on hold as Jim and Lucius investigate the scene. They're questioning victims who are getting patched up, and many of the victims are kind of given the line of the episode, like, it's the Narrows.
God, you're right, Dragon. That does get so repetitive. I'm like, yeah, we get it. Let's
see. So let's see. Lucius finds the plane. Now, here's the thing. I can't imagine it not being in reference to this, Tiki. I really can't. That okay. Lucius finding the plane. This is identical to the Grey Ghost episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There was a whole lot of Grey Ghost influence in this episode. And here's the thing: like Grey Ghost has like a villain who's a knockoff of the Toyman, essentially, and this villain here is very much a knockoff of the Toyman as well from Superman.
I called this villain in my notes the Toy Master.
Well, it's Toy Maker.
Oh, Toy Maker. Okay.
Remember, in the animated series, the Toy Man in that episode was played and modeled after Bruce Timm.
Right.
Would have been better if they got him, honestly, but we'll get there. Okay, let's see. So while they're investigating the scene, they find some exploding plane parts. Enigma wants revenge. Oh, take us through some of this. By all means, go on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Enigma, you can tell he's very fired up about the whole thing. He's threatening to send Grundy after them, but Grundy's oddly quiet, and he's getting some flashbacks to abuse at Babs and Enigma's hands. Hands, get it? Pun.
Yeah, so Grundy has his memories back, and now this may be Grundy, maybe Butch kind of playing a long con on Nigma. That's my theory of it. That's what I think's going on here.
Oh,
I
I
think
think
he's
so
going to.
too. I don't think Butch is 100% yet. The way I kind of view it, the analogy I'm kind of using right now, Dragon, is I think it's kind of like how Nigma was at the start of the season where he's coming out of the ice. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
He knows
okay.
who he is, but he's not like 100% there yet. But he's going to get to that point.
Yeah, it's unclear, based on the evidence in this episode, because we don't see Grundy for a little while after this episode, is that it would seem he hasn't had a flashback of Nigma doing something bad to him. So as far as he may be concerned, he doesn't have like an extraneous conversation with Tabitha, but it may have happened off screen where he is he doesn't know like all that Nigma is his enemy quite yet. But then again, he's you don't know how much he's retained from Tabitha in the past, telling him that Nigma's not his friend. You don't know how much
Right.
of that he's retained. So it's ambiguous whether he knows that Nigma's like someone he really has a grudge against, or like if he's God knows, even would make peace with Nigma after all that he's done. The point is, he knows that Penguin removed chopped his arm off, and he loves Tabitha. That's as much as he's regained so far, and he knows his name. So more on that as it comes. So again, Nigma wants revenge because he likes Lee. Oh, ain't love grand? He loves Lee. We all like Lee now, so it's fine. Nigma, we get where you're coming from on that. Anyway, celebrations going on in the diner. So we're in the diner. Alfred, they're all celebrating Alfred's bravery. We saw what you did there. You saved the people
Even
of the Narrows.
tried to beat him up is shaking his hand. Like, I would have never done that. No hard feelings. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. I'm sorry. Whenever I say you're a good man, I can't help but insert the trope. It's almost kind of like the Bakudo, like, oh, you work for the head now, Colleen.
You're a good you're a good swordsman,
Charlie Brown. Colleen.
Right. Anyway, makes no sense to anyone listening to this. Anyway, so it's a vague Defenders reference for the folks out there.
And I'm advertising Gotham on Fox. Colleen.
Right, anyway, getting back on point. So, the diner celebrating Alfred's bravery. Bygones be bygones. All this stuff. So things are coming up aces for Alfred so far, even without Bruce. So hey, Alfred's kind of making a little niche for himself in Gotham. Good for Alfred. And he takes a liking to Tiffany. However, he's taking a liking to Tiffany, and because of that, he kind of notices Tiffany has some very suspicious bruises around her head.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to come back later. Meanwhile, Jim and Lucius, they go to Crank's Toys and Models. Basically, Tracy.
43 monkey just looms over the skyline here.
I have a theory about the monkeys that are in this episode, but more on that momentarily. But basically, they trace the plane to a toy shop, and again, this shop, especially when we go on the inside of it, looks identical to Grey Ghost, where we have all those shelves of toys and everything, kind of the setting of inside the Toy Man's lair. Looks a lot like it.
Sure.
So, you basically got a manufacturing lead with the planes, and they learn they meet. So let's see. They get a lead on Cosmo Crank. Cosmo Crank. He recognizes the plane. This is the son of the elder Crank. So he and his dad Griffin. Griffin Crank. They're going to work at the store, and the idea is Griffin's the man behind the bombing, and the son trying to protect his father. And we see a lot of, and this is like kind of classic '60s Batman with some Dutch angles in this toy shop and filled with classic toys. And there are like the old '50s kind of clapping cymbal
kind
monkey,
of like some oversized Death Trap weapon style things too.
Yeah, and again, feels very much like Grey Ghost with the toys that are about to attack momentarily. But real quick, they have some monkeys in the foreground in this scene, like smiling monkeys, and again the giant clapping cymbal monkey. I want to say I'd like to give the show credit and say that's them foreshadowing Jerome.
How so?
I'm saying you're just kind of giant smiling monkey, just kind of like a mischievous Joker smile, like kind of anarchist, that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, it still doesn't make up for the bait and switch.
Oh God, no, it doesn't make up for it. I'm just saying that it's just might be like a little foreshadow.
Like, ooh, look, he's coming. He's almost here. He's almost here.
Okay. So we have this great nutcracker with a machine gun arm, which of course reminds me of Christmas with the Joker, with those Joker mannequins that had machine guns in the fingers.
You know what it also reminded me of? It reminded me of the slot machine robots from Nightmare Before
Oh
Christmas.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, and again with the machine gun arms, again, a part of me is thinking in this episode, like, hey, possible like Jerome buildup. It doesn't make up for it, but I'm just saying, like, hey, it might be some buildup for Jerome.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically we have like they're basically the son runs in the back and all this stuff's kind of going off because of the father. We have the toy robot with dynamite gag, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. They're dodging like all sorts of ridiculous manner of things trying to kill them. Jim gives chase, and Griffin gets away, drives away. Cosmo, because Cosmo the son, he prevented the shot. He got in the way and begged him not to kill his father.
Mhm.
Cut back from commercial. The son claims that he didn't know. He recalls he recalls a phone conversation and a mention of the doc being the target. Like, I don't know, it mentioned the doc a couple times, and this is kind of fun that Jim doesn't know who the doc is.
Yeah, I
Had
like
it,
how it's a mystery that like Jim is clearly unaware of, but we, the audience, are in the know about.
I know this wasn't intentional, but it reminded me of that. I don't know if I know you've seen this episode, POV from the animated series, where like the whole doc reveal, like, hey, Doc's a person. No, it's like a location, the docks.
Oh God, right,
It
right.
wasn't in reference to that, but it just kind of made me think of that while I was watching the episode. So let's see. Jim goes to inquire who the doc is, and he also is ducking Sophia Falcone's call, which was not good.
All right.
All right.
So Ivy's strolling through town, and she's seeing all the dead plants, and they're being caused. All the death is being caused by truck fumes and car fumes and smog and everything.
Man,
Man, that's right, man.
and she does have. She has a good line here. And again, I'm not put off by the Ivy stuff. Not put off by what we're doing with Ivy. And I like the new actress we
I'm
got. I
not
just
either.
feel,
I mean, I
yeah,
think it's a little awkward that the character's been recast 3 times in 4 seasons, but you know.
yeah. I'm saying, like, I like the new actress, but you're right. It just feels like it's like a lot of bait and switch, and it's like we've changed her a couple times now. Let's see. So she has this good line. This place, like this realization, and you see the kind of the connection to the plants. Like, this place is killing you.
Mhm.
And it's a good line that informs Ivy's character goal here. Is that, like the kind of connection to the city here is that we kind of, the only issue I have with this is that we kind of, in Gotham, it's not with her necessarily, it's with this type of story, because we've seen this like 3 times now. We've seen the person with their mind rebooting story, like, like they're coming out of like either ice, or they're coming out of becoming like a swamp zombie. They're coming out of like people kind of going around the streets, kind of like kind of mentally rebooting their brains, and it's like the third time we've done it with Ivy now. Yeah. Let's see, man. I like her making the connection that Gotham, that the city is killing her plants, and that's why she's kind of making Gotham an enemy. So that's kind of interesting. All
Sorry,
right.
I accidentally unplugged my microphone. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. What?
Can you hear me? I accidentally unplugged my microphone.
Yeah, well, just keep talking. I think it'll adjust itself. Just
I don't know.
all right.
Oh, sorry
Uh,
about that. Anyways.
all right. Let's see. So, Ivy.
Her motivation.
Yes, her motivates. So, I like that she's kind of putting this all on the city, just kind of like a little visual sequence that kind of puts it together for just seeing kind of the city, and again, just kind of identifying it to the city. It's not bad. It's good. It's a good motivation. She takes shelter in a couple's apartment.
Then she sits on the couch and she eats a tub of ice cream.
So there you go. You're back now.
Yeah, okay, good, good.
Let's see. So it's
And as she's eating the ice cream, she's seeing a news report about a Gotham nature park being threatened by a gas leak.
Yeah, it's very Returns, like the way, it's like Catwoman in Returns, where she's kind of exploring the apartments. It's shot very Burton-esque.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yes, and while she's kind of eating ice cream, and she looks really weird because she just came out of that giant plant cocoon. She looks all like, it's not sweat, but it's like, oh god, she looks kind of mangy in the scene.
Mhm.
Anyway, so yeah, she a little commercial happens her
Oh
way.
God. It's back with a passion.
I love this. They actually have this commercial on the Gotham YouTube channel. You can check out. It's
Ladies drink for free while the men don't. And Dragon,
cracks.
my favorite moment of this commercial is just Selena's just like very dry delivery of you'll like it. It's nice.
I know it's God, it's hilarious. Just Selena does not want to be there, but at the same time, she wants to participate. I love the one this ridiculous. It's like a ridiculous kind of commercial. Like they're all just kind of dancing in place. Like
But I
Barbara
think
has.
a note of recognition in her eyes. She recognizes all three of the women on the screen. And I'm pretty
And
sure I hated you.
that is a dumb line. I just want to call that line every time I hear it. That's a stupid line. Because again, I'll give her props where I can. But that's the only thing that's really in this episode bugging me about Ivy, that we're doing the whole like why does she have to reboot her mind? Why can't she just remember everything already? Why do we have to do this?
Yeah, yeah.
And basically that whole thing. Here's what strikes me so weird about this line, Tiki. It's that she recognizes her old pals, and I'm pretty sure I hated you, which is it's just kind of spelling it out. It's like she's unsure about it, but okay, I hate you, I guess. She doesn't even sound sure that she. It's like it's kind of like, hey, I hate this person. It's like, you don't even remember them.
Okay, so Alfred, things didn't quite work out between him and Tompkins, but he's giving it a shot with Tiffany, our waitress.
Yep. Let's see. They're chatting about Alfred's White Castle days.
Mm-hmm.
Whitechapel days, not White. Sorry, it's
Alfred Pennyworth goes to White Castle.
God.
It was a dead-end job, but I was a college kid, and it paid the bills. I hated the funny little hats they made you wear, though.
I'm thinking of a Freakazoid line, right? I'm thinking of curse your tiny paper hat.
All right.
Anyway, so he's referring to his Whitechapel days, his wartime days.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a night, and well, importantly, with the Whitechapel days, kind of his post-wartime days, because this is reflecting on that lovely story Alfred told earlier about how Thomas Wayne changed his life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, in this scene, and basically, honestly, the Alfred story is going.
He's kind of ruminating on the impact that the Wayne family's had on him after the fallout with Bruce, and so you're kind of getting like, he really wants to patch things up with Bruce, but he knows that Bruce kind of has to go through a lesson on his own.
Exactly. He's always indebted to the kid's father and how the Waynes enriched his life and how he failed to do that for Bruce. I absolutely feel for Alfred here. And unfortunately, I feel in this episode, the Alfred stuff kind of goes off the rails like right after this moment.
Yep.
And it's not that. Here's the thing. I think the resolution, the end resolution, I think is good. It's just I think everything that gets us there is really weird. It's like really, and basically, honestly, I think you're gonna like this. Here's what it feels like. It feels like they just for an episode they kind of went back to the Alfred that we mocked relentlessly in season 2, like the Alfred that beats children.
Oh God.
Because he feels like Frank Miller. I know Frank Miller's Alfred wasn't actually like this, but it feels like kind of like if Alfred,
crazy Steve interpretation of.
That's what I'm saying. It feels because Alfred and then the Frank Miller Alfred from the All-Star Band it was Alfred, but it was muscular. That was really the only difference. In this case, it's like the old Butler, but he was like the bald head and everything. He was muscular. That was the only. In this case, this is crazy Steve Alfred for an episode here because just the way what happens here. So, where to start? Do you want to start? Lay out what happens.
What now?
Do you want to lay out what happens?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the boyfriend pulls up, and this is kind of an awkward situation. It's like
it's written very awkwardly.
What?
It's written very awkwardly.
Oh God, yeah. Alfred was kind enough to walk me home. Oh, well, that's nice of you. So Alfred just gets really aggravated.
In a manner of speaking.
I saw her hair wet down. You're covering her bruise. Was that your idea?
Well, also, I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he starts with a punch, but like he's shoving the guy around very violently, asking him.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't even start with the confrontation. He starts with a punch, I think. Oh man. I mean, look, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's just he goes about it in a very unflattering way.
And we have this random old lady and her dog.
Yep. Because
and
we need a witness.
It feels really off. It just feels really off scene, It just feels like it's a really off scene. That's what it feels like. This needs another pass, guys. Just like, here's the thing: it's like really lovely scene about talking about Thomas Wayne, the Wayne family. Then, hey, boyfriend shows up.
It just goes to Crazyville.
That's what I'm saying. Now, look, I love an Alfred against the.
Had so much pent up aggravation over seeing that scar,
Yeah, look. I love an Alfred who's who's against the abuse of women and children.
Oh, sure, of course.
But I gotta tell you, the brutish execution and the boyfriend being so, and the boyfriend is very transparently dumb. It's just.
Yep.
And now here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. So it's this brutish execution of just like questioning the guy, and the boyfriend just being very, very, very stupid. Tiffany kind of dwarfs the guy's stupidity. And look, I get that there's a real thing that happens, but I mean, literally, again, because the scene just feels so off, it just feels really random that after this, there wouldn't be like an intermediary decision-making process here. It's that Tiffany must have a death wish because, okay, obviously the boyfriend's not going to be happy with her after getting punched and assaulted by this guy. And, like, how much... Essentially, she goes with him in the same car right after this, and Alfred's like, don't go with him.
Oh, Tiffany, what did I tell you about talking to strange men? We have so much to discuss.
That's what I'm saying. No, but seriously, it's a very transparent threat of like, okay, this is absolutely something bad's gonna happen to this girl. Saying, hey, get in the car. We're gonna have a conversation when we get home. And it's like, no, don't go with him. Are you nuts? And I get it's a serious thing about women, wives and girlfriends being kind of entrapped in relationships like that at times. It's a serious issue, but it just feels real like. When someone spells like if the guy had a mustache, it would be like 8 feet long, twirling. It's like how much foresight.
Oh, Dragon. Speaking of mustaches.
Oh, wait, I know. You believe me. I want to talk about that.
I know. Look, I'm not gonna dive into it. I'm just saying, like.
But here's the last thing of this very clunky scene that really bugs me on a rewatch. Okay. How much foresight could this boyfriend have to, again, by happenstance, the ring, Alfred's ring that we rarely address? Alfred's ring flies off when he's punching this guy, which I don't really think that's how that works, but okay, fine. The ring flies off. This boyfriend has the foresight. This guy just punched me. While he's very transparent in his threats and in his intention, he is, I guess, surprised. It's like a savant thing where the guy's secretly a genius because he just gets in an instant, he decides, I'm going to grab this ring and I'm going to frame this guy. God. You got to admit, that's a buy. That's a big buy of this guy. In that instant, he just says, hey, look, ring, I can use at the frame. It came from this guy. It must have flew off. So right. So it's a very clunky, bizarre scene. It's probably the most bizarre scene in the episode for my money.
All right.
Okay.
So let's see. So Lucius is talking with the doctor about the fatalities at the bomb site.
Yes, the coroner, and we reveal we see in the neighboring buildings around the bomb site, ivy is coated. We see poison ivy coating dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Very long Halloween-esque, by the way, the visual of that.
I like how the way that the bodies are being decomposed is very much scientifically in the style of poison ivy, as they note.
Yeah.
That's a neat touch.
It is.
Dragon, I'm just gonna say this right now, and I'm gonna try and keep my comparisons here minimal, but all the plant creature effects with poison ivy through this and the next episode that I've seen so far call to mind the Goosebumps book and TV episode Stay Out of the Basement.
Really?
And that's the one where it's got the cover where it's like the plant hand sticking out of the doorway.
Mm.
I don't know. Because that's all about like plants mutating into people. Anyways.
So in the next scene, apparently that commercial works like a Jimmy McGill commercial, or like a Saul Goodman commercial, because it has attracted a lot of business for the Sirens Club.
God.
Saul Goodman Productions. Look at all those star wipes. Okay, anyway. Oh man, I love Better Call Saul. Sorry, I was remarking because I won't be having it for a long time. But
yeah.
Anyway, so Selena Kyle, she vaguely recognizes the new Ivy in the scene. Like, yeah, we're gonna recognize this girl, and she is distracted by her new by being tasked to take care of to deal with Playboy Bruce Wayne, who's kind of making a ruckus in the club.
And this is kind of a fun scene.
I'll admit, I like it better on the rewatch than I did the first watch. Because here's the thing: it's like at first I was saying, "Come on, they were just making a fool out of the kid." But there has a few lines in this
but that's
really
kind of the point, though. I think
the
point is that you need to make a fool out of him. Bruce needs to hit a low in his story arc.
You're right, and that's why I think it gets better on the rewatch. And you realize, yeah, he has to be this way. And it has some fun. Like I get more enjoyment on the rewatch because Mizzou is sorry, I'm just saying, I was mispronouncing the Mizzou's, but it's the whole David of it all. I keep forgetting like David now has the pronunciation. So David Mizzou's. I love the. I love the one. I like how he's dressing. He's dressing like kind of the Batman version of Bruce Wayne, who has like the open. He never wears a tie. He's like the open collared shirt. He's very much like a party boy.
Uh-huh.
And then he has this great line about, "Hey, they don't card you here, and even if they did, this is Gotham."
Dragon, that's the point where I kind of started cracking up about this episode. I was like, oh boy, this is silly.
Here's the thing: it wouldn't have any merit, but honestly, what I'd love to see is the other image we were using for this would have been if I could find Mizzou's just kind of giving that delivery. This is Gotham.
God,
it's just the way he's just hamming it up so much with that. It's fun.
He's kind of being boisterous about the fact that he fired Alfred. It's time to move on.
I love that Selena has like a sixth sense about this, realizing that, again, basically kind of calling out Bruce on his character arc here, saying, hey, you don't believe this. I mean, you're putting you're putting something on. Like Bruce, the idea is Bruce is so down the rabbit hole in this kind of running away from his problems, he doesn't really know what he is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Selena's kind of calling him out, like, hey, this isn't who you are at all. And it's such a fun reverse, because usually Bruce Wayne and Batman classically are the ones who are telling Catwoman, hey, you're not this.
Of course.
It surprises Selena, the whole firing Alfred and everything. What are you trying to prove? All of that, the Bruce acting self-confident. And this is interrupted by men fighting over a certain redhead. So Tabby, she kind of walks over there,
Redheads are all crazy, am I right?
That's the line that the first watch was like, come on, are we really doing that? But you're right, you kind of need it. Anyway, so, Ivy says something to Tabitha, implying like, hey, I know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And after Bruce says his line, Selena puts it together. Ivy? Another facelift?
God. Another recast? All right.
Okay, let's see. So, oh yes. So this is nice. This is a nice scene going on here. We have a nice Jim and Babs scene. I gotta tell you, I really like the dynamic we have kind of coming back here with Jim and Barbara.
I seem to maintain a good relationship with all my exes. Leave me off that list.
It's fun and it feels very film noirish. It feels like
Mr. and Mr. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith-esque.
You're right. Yeah, it definitely has a little bit of that, but also feels very kind of noirish. Like when you go to it's kind of like this isn't the best comparison, but it's kind of like in Casablanca where you have you have Claude Rains' character, the investigator character, and Rick, two of them. It's like, hey, I know you have gambling and all sorts of stuff going on in this establishment, but I'll still frequent it. That's sort of like there's the underlining relationship and friendship there.
Sure,
That's
sure.
sort of like these two people have a past, and Barbara's still kind of friendly with them. So it's kind of like that, but I feel like kind of film noir. It's like, hey, she walked into my office, like the flirtatious kind of bad girl. That's
I
sort of
like I like how in this scene, Babs is just kind of like toying with the Doc's identity with Gordon. Like, oh sure, I know the Doc. She's a very dangerous character.
that's what I'm saying. I love that.
All around them.
I love Barbara's playing with something that we, the audience, know, but Jim has no idea about. So let's see. So Harper calls about Alfred being in custody, and that kind of sends Jim out the door.
I can't wait to talk about Harper next episode too. There's so much about next episode that I just want to get to already.
I know. There's a lot. There's a lot of fun next episode. Oh man, episode 13 is a blast. Sorry, folks, kind of boring you through this, but it's a boring episode, so we got to liven it up somehow. Anyway.
Yeah, yes. You're right, Dragon. It's not a bad episode. It's just a very meh episode, so it's not even fun to talk about. That's the problem.
Okay, let's see. So we see poor Tiffany's body. What you take us through? Go on.
I mean, look, this is just this whole plot line goes from 1 to 1,000 in like 10 seconds, and that's what bothers me about it. I kind of feel like they maybe should have stretched this plot line out over a couple episodes. I don't know. It's just like everything about it just tonally feels off.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it just comes out of nowhere?
I know it's written that it comes out of nowhere very much. So again, it just took like a veered off the road, and it just becomes like. Now you mentioned, yeah, it is like I think it might stem from it all being in the same episode. Maybe that's why.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we find now we're in the middle of like a murder conspiracy.
And not only that, but Alfred Pennyworth is now the lead suspect, and there's witnesses and everything like that. It's like what?
Yeah, it's Tiffany's body is found, and Alfred's ring impression, the SOS ring, his old military outfit, I think. So the boyfriend has an alibi, quote unquote.
I love how much the alibi thing gets thrown in their faces this episode too. Doesn't that just drive you nuts?
Yeah, I love the Here's the thing: I love the resolution to all this BS with Alfred. Though I do love the resolution. So Alfred. The point is, Alfred's in trouble. When Jim comes by and he's trying to I love how at least Alfred's being direct in the solution. You're saying, hey, Gil Rooney, that's the guy you gotta go after. That's the abusive boyfriend. He's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But again, here's the thing: this old, this old woman. What did she see? Okay, so he fought with the boyfriend. So I don't know.
He's such a bad man.
That's the thing. I don't know if it's like the eyewitness still seems to be like it's just. I don't think it's like a nail in a coffin by any stretch. But regardless, Alfred he's losing his temper, and Harper has had bad experiences with Alfred before. So with him losing his temper, like. Kind of taking like what I called the Jim Gordon welcome, where basically you run up and you punch people in the face before asking questions.
God.
Whereas like with Ra's al Ghul.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely kind of ruining Alfred's reputation. So let's see. So he swears it's a frame up. Jim, I love that Jim is on his side, and especially post season 2. Season 2, Jim was framed up, and if anyone's going to be on the side of like someone being framed, I think Jim Gordon would fit the bill there, given what we saw him go through.
Yeah, and I feel like Alfred and Jim, their dynamic on the show is something that's been a little bit understated, but it's always been there. They've always kind of like had this cantankerous respect for each other that I feel is growing as the
It's always been dueling father figures. It's always been what their dynamic has been from the get-go. Yeah. So he's promising justice, and with a statement. It's almost like a father-stepfather thing almost with him. It's kind of like that, I guess.
Sure.
In a way. Anyway, so Alfred kind of pulls not a bad exit, but an Alfred exit when Jim turns around.
God.
Man, what we're really missing is Ben McKenzie getting the line of just, oh man, I really hope that's not a regular thing. Okay, anyway, so Butch...
I'll get to do it in a fantasy sequence to Bruce next episode, and be like a whole thing where it's like, oh, Gordon never does that, but now he does it, and the fans will like it.
All right, take us through Butch Returns.
Okay, yeah, so Tabitha's confronted by Butch. It hurt. I'll tell you that much. Let's see. He remembers Barbara shooting him. He remembers, uh, being the arm being ripped off. But that's about it. That's about it.
It's basically like, now I got some of my memories back, but I'm a monster, so we can't really, I have feelings for you, but we
remembers his feelings for Tabitha, and that's why he's there. He still loves Tabitha. Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yes.
All right. Okay,
So
then we have the crowd gathered at the Narrows as Enigma's kind of riling them up. Basically he's being like a pro wrestler. He's like, about ready to battle, ready or not, people of the Narrows, here's the doc.
there's a fun like Lee reveal, like Jim in the crowd just kind of realizing,
Like,
oh my
of
god,
course, Lee. Yeah, Doc Lee. All right, that makes sense.
So let's see. So Lee essentially, in like her addressment of the crowd, she's using this most recent attempt on her life to kind of fuel the uniting the Narrows kind of motion,
Yeah, yeah.
So let's see. We have let's see. Oh yeah, we have this fun Jim Enigma interaction, which is kind of fun. I love how like a nonchalant Enigma is with Jim Gordon at this point after all they've been through. I framed you for murder, kind of cost your whole relationship with Lee, threw a big wrench in that, and he just has this great line of, "Come on, Jim, don't be grumpy."
God.
Just, come on, Jim, don't be grumpy. And we have the great promo line. This is, what kind of assassin? The toy maker assassin. Oh, that is so Gotham.
Which I do think that is a fun kind of pull of like, yeah, this show is kind of embracing its own ridiculousness at this point.
And again, just with the toy maker thing, look, I don't want to like sound all gloom and doom about it, because again, I do like their kind of, it's like a deep cut pull from the animated series and kind of looking at the ridiculousness of that kind of now. I appreciate that. I just feel like we really just kind of didn't make the most of it. We used it, and maybe it's like, I don't know if, like, because of all this Alfred stuff, I don't know if it's the furthest we could have gone with it. I don't know if I feel like it was properly. I don't know if it was properly serviced, so I don't know in my gut if it could have kind of maintained an episode or not.
I hear you. I hear you.
Anyway, so yes, so we have this. Basically, they're building a future for the Narrows. That's kind of what Enigma's saying they're doing. Then we have the Jim and Lee reunion. Da da da. Then they're on good terms.
A lot more cordial.
Yeah, they're not saying careless whisper anytime soon, but they're on good terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying, you look great, same, versus, Jim being the same.
Versus like, you killed Mario, you monster, Jim.
He loved me. He said it a lot. While he picked flowers for me.
You're almost as bad as that monster Zaz. And Babs is like, hey, that's my line. Now I want to kill you again.
Yeah. I'm going shopping with Elektra.
Yes, it's very fun, and we can force Jessica to go, even though she won't really want to go.
It'll be a girl shopping day.
All right.
Anyway, okay, enough of our bizarre tangents. Okay, let's see. All right. So they're checking in. He's basically saying it's not safe for you here. Someone's targeting your life, and she says, another befitting line of the show. It's Gotham. Is anyone ever safe? Which it does feel very much like a classic Leslie Tompkins line. I know that character. It feels very much like, yeah, she'd say that. It's good.
Sure.
It's a fun bit where they talk about Ed right in front of them. Just like, hey, is everyone aware that I'm right here? You guys are talking about me while I'm right here. Saying, well, he's not my first choice, but it's the universe is funny.
Still right here.
Yeah. So Jim goes for a look around. Enigma spots Griffin and Crank, and he gives chase because again he cares about Lee, so he's giving chase. Again, he has no idea what he's going to do, but he's giving chase.
Mm-hmm.
He is cornered and then instantly disarmed. Then we kind of juxtapose that Enigma in a bad spot with
crazy Steve Alfred.
So we have So Alfred walks into a bar. No, it's not a joke. Alfred walks into a bar and he instantly takes on Rooney, beating the ever loving crap out of this guy.
And
And again,
look,
this
folks, look, I want to emphasize here. I want to emphasize it's not that this guy does not deserve a good beatdown, all right? It's just how aggro and how aggressively Alfred just escalates the situation.
I will say this compared to the previous scene, this one's a lot. This is the fun resolution I was talking about here. So at least, and this is just like you see, a guy who was like framing you and everything. Like a party wants to beat the living snot out of this guy. It's kind of fun that Alfred can kind of take the Jim Gordon route on that, where he's just going to greet this guy with a punch in the face. And but then his pals come out. Alfred's outnumbered. And then we have this. This is a great moment. This is the great payoff for the beginning of the episode. Okay, we're looking for
This
Bullock.
is
No
really
sign
the
of.
only reason to watch this episode to begin with, honestly.
So all the Bullock stuff is why you want to check out this episode, folks. So Bullock comes in for a save, an awesome save. He's a classic bartender.
Like the last 10 minutes of the episode, sadly.
Yep, he's classically, he's a bartender with a bat. Huh? With a bartender with a bat, he's beating. He's kind of teaming up with his old. And again, we've set up in the earlier seasons that Alfred and Bullock have great respect for each other. They're buddies.
Sure.
Which is nice. So Bullock has saved Alfred's, saved his old pal Alfred as a bartender. Is this, why a bartender? Well, I can, drink and I can, I'm trying to think what he says. Oh, right. It's a place where I can, a place for drinking and ignoring people. It's what I'm best at.
Also, we have a reference to Alfred making tea.
Howard Hamlin.
Saying the Howard Hamlin of it all.
Howard Hamlin approves somewhere. He's giving thumbs up.
The line is, "I liked you better when you were making tea."
God. So here's where I love the resolution. So Bullock quickly clears up the alibi. The alibi stymie with they're your alibi, basically pointing to the guy to Rooney's men, who basically they're the guys corroborating. They're from his workplace. Again, Bullock is quickly kind of solving the situation. Says, "You guys are his alibi. You want to change your stories?" With the bat, and of course, you're going to change the stories. You're going to roll on the Rooney. So yeah, problem solved. Thanks to Bullock. Hey, Bullock just shows up, and within 5 minutes, he fixes everything. Hooray!
All right.
Okay.
So meanwhile, Selena's breaking into Ivy's place.
She's caught. She's still learning. She's still kind of early into the thieving.
Ivy's donning the classic green dress.
Oh yeah, she's she's asking what happened. Something. She's saying, "Oh, something wonderful. Something wonderful's happened." We see she poisons Selena.
But I got to say, the effects of this poison, it's pretty horrific. The gasping and the discolorization, the discolor on the face, and it's a good effect. It does the job. It makes the scene quite suspenseful.
And what we do here is something that, again, they kind of lifted elements from the animated series, not just from like the deep cut, like kind of the POV references I'm making earlier on, but I mean as it's been for a while now, the dynamic between Selena and Ivy has been very kind of Harley and Ivy-esque, and in this episode, we do something that we did in the Harley and Ivy episode from Batman the Animated Series, where essentially Ivy took Harley to like this condemned like toxic area, and what she did is she injected her with this thing that would make her immune to certain poisons, basically so she could survive in a toxic environment. And we kind of do that here, where she poisoned Selena, and then she gave her a bit of her essence, so she would, basically gave her like a bit of a serum that would counteract the toxin. So again, it's very Harley and Ivy-esque in that regard. So Ivy's saying, "Hey, I'm not crazy. I'm reborn. I can never be ignored. And not or underestimated again." And Selena's saying, she just wants to, and this is kind of nice. I like that we're paying this, really paying off a lot of the Ivy and Selena friendship we kind of had for a couple seasons now, despite Ivy kind of being hit or miss in the early years.
Yeah.
Where it's basically, you helped me all those years, now it's my turn to help you. So I like that. I like that she's kind of trying to return on the friendship that she's cultivated with Selena. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's okay.
Meanwhile, Nigma, of course, Selena does not care for her killing people. We're going to get more to that a little road bump later on. Nigma, meanwhile, Nigma's begging for his life, and he learns that essentially we do a Bates Motel season 5 here, where Nigma learns that Crank was hired by the Riddler ego.
Oh God, you're right. It is like the alter ego trying to sabotage. Yeah, yeah.
So he's not so
Also, Dragon, I like how we've gone from the ego to Riddler to now Riddler ego. Like I like how it's like a Pokemon evolution chain or something.
yeah. Before, but because now being called Riddler, that is a very pivotal kind of thing with the evolution of the Riddler being called Riddler by the Penguin. That's kind of the big sticking point of the importance of the Riddler name we established already.
Sure.
And now he's always been kind of the ego, but which we knew secretly was the Riddler. When fused together, they're the Riddler. But now this guy's pretty much like, okay, he's all Riddler now, but he's still the ego. He's acting. We're using him like the ego years before. So.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you this: I'm not super crazy about now the whole ego kind of striking back at Riddler. That's fine, but I'm not crazy about this whole like the toy, basically making the toy maker a hired gun. Because mainly, if he's hired by the
toy maker, just entirely pointless. That's the problem.
You're right, but the other thing for me is it doesn't feel like Riddler's style. Riddler's all about proving is about being super clever. It doesn't feel clever enough for like a Riddler plot, does it?
Nah.
It's like hire a toy, hire a guy with his whole gimmick to get the spotlight, killer, and no more Lee. It doesn't really feel like a plot worthy of the Riddler.
Okay, what if? Hear me out on this one though. What if the Riddler wanted to kill Lee because Lee was a distraction for Nigma?
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah, but you're saying, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's what happens.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that's the big reveal. So he's asking if Crank's asking if the job's on or off because he's risked everything. My shop got blown up. My kids involved in the cops. And then we have this again. This is like a fun, bizarre moment where the other one was just purely bizarre. This is a fun one where so Jim arrives on the scene and he's holding Riddler's gun. He turns around because he has a gun in his hand. This is procedure, folks. In the real world, unfortunately, this is what it comes to. If you're a bad guy holding a gun in front of a cop,
Yeah.
So he's so the toy maker is killed again. Wasted potential in the toy maker again. I know he's a one-off, but still, he's gunning him down.
First time Gotham's wasted a villain.
Yeah. So Enigma, he's God, yeah. So Enigma's in the clear after fielding Jim's logical questions. Again, Jim's asking the logical questions now, so I'll give him that. And, Enigma is he's kind of rolling with it. He really lucked out, honestly. That's what happened. He really lucked out. So, Jim gets called saying, okay, well, I guess, thanks. Nice job, Ed, I guess. He just leaves. So here's the moment. Now, I do love this being the episode's... Again, I had other assumptions when Jerome was in the picture about why this episode was called, Pieces of a Broken Mirror, but I do like the revelation here that, okay, so we have this mirror device, again, the visual of the episode here, you'll see, is, I love that we have the broken mirror payoff that, okay, Enigma is kind of the broken element of this mirror, of this reflection, that's how he's kind of having a conversation with himself. Again, the direction's pretty good in the episode, I'll give it that, So I love the
direction in the episode. It has some standout moments. I mean, overall, it's not like an amazing, like a Ryan Johnson Breaking Bad or anything like that.
Sure. So Enigma's on a path. So again, Enigma's been on a path to get his old life back. Back to season 1 or like kind of the first half of season 2 with Chris and Kringle.
Mm-hmm.
But with Lee instead. But now it's like I'm back. And that's kind of where we kind of reveal that. So he wants Lee dead so he can basically kind of curse Enigma with like, how do we get Enigma to become the Riddler? Well, what happened last time? He killed his girlfriend. Okay, I'll do it again. He'll kill his girlfriend, which in this case is Lee. No more distractions. No more Lee. Riddler. Okay, here we go. Big Bullock.
So Alfred and Bullock are ruminating on Tiffany and having a drink. Then Jim walks in. There's a little bit of awkward silence between him and Bullock. Then very simply, Jim says he missed him. And Bullock, he hasn't missed any of the BS that Jim has been incurring on him, and kind of starts calling him out on some of it.
I love the. I might be reading into this, but in the background you see a broken mirror, and I want to say that's also in reference to the episodes. While we had the thing Enigma, you see like some broken mirror in the background, and it's kind of like a broken reflection of like where we were with these guys before in the series, maybe.
Sure, sure.
Like Jim's a broken reflection of what he used to be. Also, with the whole thing with Sophia. Anyway.
And Bullock makes a poignant point. You know, he's like, "You didn't come down here because you missed me as a cop. You want me to be your priest. Well, sorry, pal, I'm not interested." And then he lays down his badge and he says, "Take this with you."
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. Pretty powerful way to end the episode. You know, definitely not resolved on that end with Bullock.
All right, so final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Can we just move on, Dragon? This episode clearly bored us. I'm literally kind of dozing off. I need some coffee to get to the next thing we need to do. This episode just, like I said, it's not even a fun, bad episode. It's just a very, very mediocre episode. There's not even a lot of stuff that you can really make fun of with it. That's the shame of it.
It's just like Crazy Alfred. That's about it. That's
pretty much.
Crazy Alfred and some good Bullock stuff. That's really all we got this episode. Look, for me, it's a very disappointing return from break. It's all filler. It's absolutely all filler. And honestly, filler we don't really need. It's like, hey, okay, we got a new Ivy. That's really the point of this episode. Is like, hey, Ivy's been recast. Ooh, and hey. Okay, Bullock and Jim, they're not really on good terms right now. And do we really need the whole Riddler's coming back? Because we're going to see that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all filler, just showing off we got a new Ivy. That's right. Really, it's about it. So the episode's just boring as all get out. Again, it's Bran that makes us work for Lucky Charms, and by the end of Lucky Charms, just they're colorful milk at the bottom of the bowl. That's really what they are at this point. So,
all right, take us out.
Remember, kids, no matter how dark and scary the world may be right now, there will be light. There'll be light, right?
Until next time, when we go exploring Gotham yet again.
It's nice. You'll like it.
You'll like it. I know it.